Hello everyone, this is Kona, and thank you for tuning in to another TF2 commentary. Now for a while, I've actually been playing a few other games besides TF2. I've been taking kind of a break and exploring other types of games. Things like MOBAs, like Dota, I played Dota 2, as well as MMORPGs. Right now I'm playing one called Terra, which is actually pretty fun. Now while playing these different games, I started to think or strategize in these games in different ways from a first-person shooter. There is this thing in these games what's called crowd control. Here, I just tried to fail taunt him. Oh boy. Actually, boom! Get him right in the end. But yeah, in these games, there is something called CC, or crowd control. And if you think about first-person shooters, like more modern first-person shooters, this equates to something like a flashbang or a stun grenade. Something that doesn't really deal too much damage. It's there to kind of control the enemy so that you have an easier kill when you go in. Now, this game actually has some interesting few crowd control techniques that I found that, when I went back to playing TF2 after playing all these different games, I found myself using these crowd control tools in sort of, MMORPG / MOBA ways. Now, an example of one of these stunning effects is the Huntsman. I really like the Huntsman. It's my favorite weapon, and people don't really know about this, but the stun part can actually be used as sort of a tactic. In this example, this Uber pair is coming up here trying to destroy our base. I go in there for the stun, and that's all I'm doing. And I know I'm pretty safe because usually the heavy is too busy shooting a sentry or something like that. I can use that opportunity to go in for the stun. So my role in that case is definitely not dealing damage or even blowing them back, but using sort of crowd control techniques in order to nullify this threat. Now, another very popular weapon for crowd control is the Sandman for the Scout. Now, what's kind of nice about this weapon is that it not only slows the enemy, but it basically makes it so they can't really do anything against you. You're up in this stun bonk state, and they put their hands up and they can't shoot you, and so that's your kind of moment to kind of go in for the kill. And I know that there's, it's a very popular thing to do where you start off with a Sandman, bonk them, and then go in for the oh, this, by the way, was so stupid. I forgot I had I bonked him. I forgot I had the Force of Nature, and I just totally failed because I shot while I was in the air. That was just kind of stupid. But yeah, this combination of using the stun before you go in is sort of a strategy, and to take advantage of something like the flying guillotine, definitely you need to be able to stun people. Now, in terms of slowing other players, there's also the Natasha, but I don't see that really used too much as sort of a strategic weapon. People usually just go with something that deals more damage, and I thought TF2, it might be kind of fun to add more of these crowd control weapons to TF2, because it's a very kind of crazy first-person shooter game that I think is almost like an experimental game. A lot of different new concepts are being tried out in this game, and I figured, hey, maybe you can take more concepts from MOBAs, from MMORPGs, and put them into TF2 to make it, stand out from the other first-person shooters. Now, my brother and I were discussing what could they possibly add to TF2 in terms of crowd control in order to make this game more interesting and fun. Now, both of us actually played Dota 2 together, and we thought, oh well, it would be kind of cool to take maybe some of the abilities from Dota 2 and perhaps apply them in their own special way to TF2. Now, in Dota 2, there is this character called Windrunner, and she's an archer. And she has this cool ability called the Shackle Shot, which is the ability to slow down a player, and then actually shackle more than one player if other players are nearby. You can see right there. And I think this ability is really cool because it turns this character into more of a support character, forcing you to really work as a team. Now, another really cool character is Drow Ranger, and she has the ability to actually slow people down with her ice arrows. And we thought, well, that would be kind of really, a cool weapon to add to TF2, ice arrows for perhaps the Huntsman sniper. Now, one of the things we thought of to balance this out would be no headshots. So you can't get any headshots with this weapon, but you could shoot these ice arrows to slow your enemies down as sort of a support character role if someone's running away or something. Now, my brother thought of an interesting addition perhaps that can be made to the pyro. Now, instead of the pyro, going around and lighting people on fire with a flamethrower, he thought, well, why don't you give the pyro something like an ice thrower or something like that? Something that when you attack someone, it actually does, some damage, not a whole lot. But its purpose is to slow the enemy down so that your teammates can actually get them a little bit easier. Maybe the pyro, instead of having a flamethrower, can actually have something like a fire extinguisher. That would be really funny. having the pyro instead of with the flamethrower, he has a fire extinguisher, and maybe you can, it'll force people to extinguish. So, there's no right click, there's only a left click for extinguishing people and slowing enemies down. That would be kind of funny. Now they could add more traditional stuff like flashbangs or, you know, flash grenades or something like that. But I kind of like the craziness of the TF2 world, that they can have all these weird different weapons. And I kind of hope that they add more of these kind of crowd control weapons, because I do think that crowd control, you know, perhaps it makes people play TF2 a little bit differently. Maybe playing TF2 with a little more teamwork, so that you have to have like support characters go in and initiate a fight, and then you have your damage dealers go in and clean up. I don't know, something like that. Now my question for you guys is, if you could add some sort of crowd control weapon, what would it be? You know, would it be a stun, or maybe like some sort of sleeping thing, or I don't know what. But what kind of weapon would you like to see that is sort of like a crowd control weapon? Let me know in the comments below. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching, and have a nice day.